Shohei Ohtani has torn his UCL. How does this affect his future as a two-way player on the cusp of an MVP season? The AL West race is heating up, and another American League favorite suffers a devastating blow to their roster. We'll break down all of this and much more next on the Blaze Wave Media podcast. So the Angels season has come crashing down. It's been hard to watch. Shohei has torn his UCL. He's done pitching for the rest of the year and next year as well. He's still batting and going off, but man, the Angels had a chance to pull off the greatest return on a trade in history of baseball. They don't do that, and now they're over 10 games out of a wild card spot. What is going on with the Angels and Shohei Ohtani?
Yeah, it's kind of just been, as we saw today, it's been tough for them. They went on that salary dump. It was Hunter Renfroe, Matt Moore, I think it was not Kenny Milton, I believe, was one of them, and then one other.
It was Giolito, Lopez, Grichuk.
Yeah, Ronaldo.
I'm talking about never mind. I'm talking about a different thing, but yeah, as you said, they're just kind of dumping salary at this point. They know they're not going to make the playoffs. They really don't see it worth paying away those contracts. But like you said, that Shohei Ohtani holding on to him, I think that's going to prove really, really poorly for this franchise. It seems like he's going to leave in free agency. He doesn't want to be in a place where he has all this talent and another guy on his team has all that talent and Mike Trout, but they really can just never put together a full season together. And I think this Angels team is just going to find that really costly. They really, as you said, Nelson, they could have gotten one of the best returns, if not the best return for a player in a trade in really league history.
Yeah, I don't know what the Angels are doing. They just dumped everybody today. Just, like you said, a salary dump. But I know, to add on to what you said, they should have traded Shohei. And I don't know if the reason why they didn't trade Shohei was because obviously they had to ask for an extremely high price. It is the most talented player to ever play baseball. But I think that is going to end up being like the worst decision the Angels have made in their entire franchise's history. So they trade for Giolito. They give up one of their top prospects for him, and he's already gone. He was a failure already. Randall Grichuk, who actually had a nice season with the Rockies, surprisingly. He struggled with the Angels. He's gone. Matt Moore, who I thought is putting together a good season, is like a 2.3 ERA. They wanted to dump him too. And like you said, with Mike Trout and Shohei, they're like the two of like the top three players in baseball. And Mike Trout, how insane he is, I don't remember like how many times he's put like a consistent, healthy season lately.
Yeah.
And he's so insane that I think he played, you can correct me if I'm wrong, like 100 games last year, and he still hit 40 home runs around the 100 games. And then Shohei, I don't know how it's going to turn out for him. If he's going to get Tommy John, I mean, I guess he probably will, and then continue as a hitter. But it's crazy that happens so close to when he's hitting free agency, like how that might affect his deal.
Yeah, his stock as a player has gone down. Like the Angels, they had him when he was at his peak. He's about to win the MVP. All this stuff's going up, and then they don't trade him. They could have got all these prospects, and now they're just giving him away for free. It just makes no sense as an owner standpoint.
I mean, you think about it, like their farm system sucks. So they trade away like the two only decent prospects they have. And for rentals who are now gone, like less than a month later, you save $7 million. It's just, I mean, it's a hot mess in Los Angeles. Reportedly, Shohei had been playing on the torn UCL most of the season. He said he had arm cramps and pain all season long, but the Angels didn't want to do testing until now. And when they're out of the playoff race, it's suspicious timing. It's malpractice in my opinion. So you're telling me they're gonna wait to give them tests when they're out of the playoff race? I mean, that just doesn't seem right.
So I'll actually jump in real quick. I saw a tweet from Talking Baseball just a few days ago that said Shohei Ohtani and his agent, I'm not sure who he's represented by, but they actually refused the test around a month ago. So that's obviously, I guess they didn't want something bad to come up that could damage his free agency price. But maybe surpassing those earlier tests could have changed from a minor UCL slight tear to now what's looking like maybe inevitably Tommy John surgery if he wants to continue as a two-way player, or else he can obviously, I guess, just not get the surgery and just be the hitter he is. But that doesn't seem like the smart choice because he's obviously, we know he's a great pitcher, but it's going to be really through next year and then into the start of the year after if he were to return from Tommy John surgery on the mound.
Yeah, and the Angels don't even have like great prospects too, like Nelson said. I mean, they had
they're one good prospect. They had to call up like 6 weeks after he got drafted.
Yeah, Zach Neto.
Yeah. I mean, he's playing well, Shanuel, but like,
well, no, not Zach Neto. The other, Zach Neto got called up.
He
got called up early
as well.
Yeah,
he got called up like right after the draft or something.
The guy they just
Nolan
drafted,
Shanuel or whatever his name is.
First baseman.
Yeah, their best prospect. Guess what he's ranked? 31st.
Is he
31st, and he's a catcher.
Is Ohape still? Is he still a ranked prospect?
Yeah, Ohape. That's who it is.
Is that the guy number 31?
Yeah,
I think he'll be good. But it's just such a shame. They have all these talented players that are just being wasted. Like I was confused how a franchise can have Ohtani, Trout. I'm upset that Rendon hasn't panned out. Jared Walsh isn't bad. Zach Neto, all these young guys, and they can't put anything together. Like Jared Kelenic has more playoff success than Mike Trout. That should say something. It's insane.
Honestly, it just comes down to management. I mean, this team has been so poorly managed for such a long time now. And honestly, like this whole situation with the Angels this season, it's not surprising. Like, I mean, is anyone shocked that this happened? It happens every single year. No. They're over 500 in July. Then they start to play not as great, and they go all in at the trade deadline. And before you know it, they're 15 games back of the wild card, and they do the same thing every single year. It's just, it really isn't. It's just, it's bad for baseball. UCLs have been an issue for pitchers forever, but especially this year. The Orioles' all-star closer, the best closer in the game, Felix Bautista, has reportedly some degree of damage to his right UCL. 1 strike to go in game 1 of the Rockies series against the Orioles. He's been sitting about 99 for the past 3 games, and all of a sudden he throws one at 102. Kind of slips off the mound. It looked like it was like a lower body injury, but it revealed to us about 12 hours after the game that he's got a UCL injury, kind of crushing a crushing blow for the Orioles this season, who have been arguably the best team in the AL, right up there with the Braves for the best team in all of baseball. How do the Orioles possibly recover? Can they recover from an injury of this magnitude this late in the season?
No, you cannot. Well, can you still contend? I think that's a different argument, but can you replace someone like Felix Bautista? No. I don't think there is a single player. I don't think there's a single reliever that's as dominant as Felix. You can argue maybe like Josh Hader, and that's something I was going to say. If Felix, God forbid, has to have a Tommy John, he's out all of next year, Josh Hader's a must-sign this offseason, in my opinion. I think that's the only person who could possibly replace him. But I was going to ask the question, like, how far can the Orioles go if Felix is out for the year? My answer, see, even with Felix, I think we're going to make the playoffs. I think everyone knows that by now. But none of our guys, besides like Kyle Gibson, have playoff experience, which just makes me worry about like what we can do in a series, let's say against the Astros or maybe even the Mariners. Like, I wouldn't have a lot of confidence in those series. So like my prediction for the Orioles this year was we'd make the playoffs, and being non-biased, we make it to the ALDS, and that's where we end our season.
Yeah, I agree that that's now definitely more of in the picture than it was before this injury. As you said, you really can't replace a guy like that. Had nearly double the amount of strikeouts as he had innings pitched. Some degree of damage to his UCL just sounds just terrible. Yeah. Obviously, they still have to do additional tests, but even if it's a more of a minor UCL injury, he's still not going to be back in 2 months, even if the Orioles make a deeper postseason push, really. So we saw Brandon Hyde say he's going to really use a rotation of guys in that closer spot based on lefty-righty matchups. We've seen guys like Cionel Perez and DL Hall that can really handle the lefties. And then you have guys like Cano, obviously. He's probably going to be that coin toss closer. I guess if you had to assign one guy, he'd be the guy, but I think it's going to be a rotation. And I kind of agree with your assessment of that American League Divisional Series loss, because there are a lot of good teams in this American League who can really hit the ball, and not having your Cy Young contention relief pitcher is really going to hurt those odds.
Yeah, and I also think it's bad for the fans too. I mean, he has this whole big intro as like walks out and the whistle is playing and the lights go. So the fans too, and it sucked that he couldn't play on his bobblehead day. So
I was there. It was rough.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if anyone was there that night, but it was completely quiet when he got hurt. Just silence. And that's, he's means a lot to the team when everyone in the stadium is just silent because he's hurt. Some
degree of damage to his UCL, the way Mike Elias, the Orioles GM, put it, is just a PR way of saying he's done for a long time. It's not great news for the Orioles. When you look at it,
that's a John Harbaugh type of thing to say. Like, he doesn't put a time on it, just says some injury.
We'll see how he feels. They'll see how he feels tomorrow.
I don't know. Yeah. Felix gave me like the actual like John Harbaugh answer. I texted Felix, say "Te sientes bien," which means like "Are you feeling good?" in Spanish. And just to translate, he said nothing serious, shouldn't be out for long. And he lied to me. He
is a DOF follower.
I don't expect him to tell me, "Oh yeah, I'm out for the entire season and next season," because then I'll send the entire fan base into a panic, and he's probably not even allowed to tell fans that.
Yeah, but
he got my hopes up by saying that. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, you look at it and you say, okay, well, a casual fan would be like, okay, Yennier Cano can come in and he can be the replacement for Bautista as a closer. And yeah, he can close games, but this injury affects everybody else in the bullpen. You're going to have lower leverage guys, middle of the bullpen, come up and now be forced to be trusted in higher leverage situations. I mean, Shintaro Fujinami, who the Orioles got around the trade deadline, has been up and down. He's been inconsistent. And he's struggled in higher leverage situations, but now Brendan Hyde is forced to trust him in situations like that. DL Hall just came up from Norfolk, doesn't have that much experience. You're going to have to trust guys like that. It's not a great situation to be in for the Orioles. And it's a crushing blow for a team who's just played so well all season long.
I honestly think that with what you said, now you have to move lower leverage guys into bigger spots, maybe a bigger deal than the closer role itself. Because I think if we throw Cano out there for 25 save opportunities, he'll probably go, say, 21, 22. He'll blow maybe 4 of them. Bautista was something along the lines of 33 for 38, 39, 40, something like that. He had his blown saves, but even then, one of them he didn't give up a run. That was the second game of the season. But I think the biggest thing, the biggest issue down the stretch is going to be the extra inning games. We've seen Bautista go the 9th. When we're on the road, go the 9th. We score 1 in the top of the 10th and then shut down the 10th. I think those days are done, and it's going to be a new guy in both those innings, and it's just going to be a matter of can those lower leverage guys be put in these higher leverage situations and get the shutdown innings that we need.
No, for sure. Like Felix Bautista had 4 wins when he pitched 2 innings in the 9th and 10th. It's just, I mean, the dude, you remember the Mariners series in Seattle? It was a playoff atmosphere. He comes in after George Kirby, I think went 9 shutout innings against the Orioles. I mean, it just sucks. The dude is unhittable. He can single-handedly take over a game. And yeah, Nick, like you said, that's a really good point. I mean, come to playoffs, you're going to have situations like this where you're going to be in extra innings. You're going to need shutdown pitching. And not to say that the Orioles don't have shutdown pitching, they just don't have it in Felix Bautista. And it just sucks. So speaking of the Mariners, they've gone on a tear. They've won 20 games in the month of August, 12 of their last 13. They are now in first place in the AL West after being over 11 games back in the month of July. Their pitching has been the best in baseball all season. Their staff, you got guys like George Kirby, Luis Castillo, Logan Gilbert, It's the list goes on and on. Those are probably all aces in lots of different organizations this season. And their pitching has been a constant. But when you look at the standings and you see a team that was 10 and a half games back just last month, and now they're in first place, what changed? It's been the hitting. They've been firing on all cylinders. Teoscar Hernandez has picked it up. Cal Raleigh has looked like one of the best catchers in baseball. Ty France, after coming back from an injury, has been great. Same thing with J.P. Crawford. And Julio is playing like an MVP. It's all been working. They've been hitting the long ball, 45 homers this month, second best in the AL in the month of August. I mean, are the Mariners a true World Series threat, and can they hold on to the AL West the rest of the year?
I'll lead out here. I'd say absolutely. Whenever you have a rotation and a pitching staff like that, you can win a World Series. All it takes is a few hot weeks for your offense, and there you go. You're right in a October series, and the pitching can really just carry you, especially guys with postseason, well, not necessarily all postseason experience, but they're experienced starters in this league. Luis Castillo's been here a little bit. He had some postseason experience, I believe, with the Reds, although it may have been brief. And as you said, Julio Rodriguez, 35 days ago, he was 21st in hits in the league. Coming into today, he's one above Bo Bichette for the league lead, which is really absurd. Obviously, one of the best young stars in this game, and I think the Seattle Mariners are really a threat to be reckoned with in this American League, and I think they'll hold on to the AL West.
Yeah, Luis Castillo and George Kirby, I love them unless the Orioles are facing them. I think they're two extremely dominant pitchers, and like I'll give myself an L when I have to. I called Julio Rodriguez overrated not too long ago, and I will say when I said that take, I think he was overrated. He put up very average numbers compared to his expectations on the year, and I didn't think he should have made the All-Star game. I'll still stand on that, but he's turned it around like crazy. He's been, you could argue, the hottest player in baseball. He's been insane, and the whole team's coming together now. Teoscar Hernandez had not the best start to the year. He's been better. Castillo, Kirby, they're heating it up. And while I don't have them winning it all, I think they can definitely, they're definitely going to contend for it. Absolutely.
Yeah. And their offense has been really good. Their last few games, they won against the A's 7-0. And then Royals 3-2. And then they put up 15 runs. Then 7, then 5, then 6, then 4, then 7, then 10. So they're putting up really high numbers, and their pitching has been really great. So if they get on a hot streak and go into that with the playoffs, they could go really far.
The Texas Rangers are slumping bad. They had an 8-game losing streak earlier this month. Now they're 2-8 in their last 10 games. They've fallen off a cliff. They were contending with the Orioles for the best record in the AL for most of the season. Now they're 74-57. Yeah, I mean, that's a great record, but I mean, look at where they were a few weeks ago and where they are now. I mean, they've kind of fallen off a cliff. Houston is only a couple games up on Toronto for that last wild card spot. It's going to come down to the wire for the AL. In these wild card standings, where there's so many competitive teams, and especially in the AL West, where you really just don't know what's going to happen. You've got 3 teams who are all within 2 games, actually all within a game of that division lead.
Yeah, it's really just been go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
All right, I was just gonna talk about really, kind of what you said. This has been a really crazy divisional race. And I think at this point, the Rangers have the worst chance of the 3, because once you get cold this point in the season, it's hard to rebound when you see those guys passing you, when you know there's only a certain amount of time you have left to retake that lead. And as we were just talking about, the Seattle Mariners are on fire. The Astros are becoming that team that we saw into last year. They're just, once again, really solid. Jose Altuve with a cycle went in and dominated Boston last night. We knew this Astros team was always going to come back. It was just a matter of when. They kind of sat toward the bottom of those wild card standings for a while in the middle of the season. They really perked up after the All-Star break, and I think this is really a 2-man race at this point between the Mariners and the Astros.
Yeah, I agree. And the Mariners have played the Astros so well this season. People have said that the Mariners, this hot streak is a fluke. They've only played easy teams. they've swept the Astros in this hot stretch where they've won 30 of their last 40. I mean, this is just, it's absurd. I mean, you look at where the Mariners were a month ago and where they are now. I don't think anyone would have predicted it. I know the Mariners and Mariners fans believed in them, but I'm not sure most other people did. They were under 500 at around the All-Star break. It's just, it's a ridiculous turnaround. And they are going to have a say come October. So I guess now we'll move to hot takes. I guess we'll all go around and just give one hot take. We'll start with MLB. We'll go DOF, Aidan, and then Nick. Yeah.
All right. So I don't have any from like my own takes, but I decided to write some down from our post earlier today. So the first take I'm going to say is if we're going to buy or sell it. By Declan Edwards, the Blue Jays will collapse and don't make the playoffs for the next 3 years. So I'll give my opinion on that first. Then you guys can say that. I'm going to sell that. I'm going to hard sell that the Blue Jays on that take. I think the Blue Jays do miss the playoffs this year, but it's the second part of the take that I disagree with. They don't make it for the next 3 years. They have a great young core, Bichette and Vladdy. Well, Vladdy's not having the best year of his career. That doesn't mean that he's going to be that way for the rest of his career. I think he's shown what he can do. His 2021 season was insane. And even last year, he was good as well. I think they have too good of a young core, too good of pitching. Like Gosman might win the Cy Young. Kikuchi has actually been surprisingly better than what people thought. And same with like Jose Barrios. He's turned it around compared to how he was last year. So as much as I, as an Orioles fan, I don't like the Blue Jays. I think I think they'll miss the playoffs, but they're a team that worries me when we play them.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say.
Yeah, definitely. I think they do have some very good young talent. I mean, Bo Bichette, who's been pretty good. I think he recently got injured. He's out on IR.
He's on the IL again, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you got Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who's also really good. And they're a young team. And, I mean, I don't know if they can the AL East is a very tough division. I mean, with the Orioles.
Well, so are you buying or selling it?
Oh, I'm selling
like,
it.
You're selling it? Yeah.
I think they will. I think they'll sneak in at the bottom of the playoffs, but I don't think they'll win the AL East anytime soon.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment both of you guys have. They have management that's willing to spend money. They already have a really great core, guys like Matt Chapman. Alejandro Kirk is okay behind the plate, but him and Danny Jansen as a duo behind the plate, I think they combine to be a really good catcher when you play matchups and factor in the defense one way or another. Then you have guys like Guerrero and Bichette, like you said, and the pitching staff is good. They have one of those shutdown, not necessarily completely shut down, but have a really solid closer in Jordan Romano. And then the rotation's obviously very good as well. So I think saying they won't even sneak into a wild card spot over the next 3 years is a bit out of hand. But as you said, I don't think they'll make it this year either. So I'm selling that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to make the playoffs when you go 12-25 against your division. The Blue Jays, honestly, I mean, I've seen conversations and people say that the Blue Jays should trade Vladdy. If they do that, then maybe they're in trouble with making the playoffs for the next 3 years. But I mean, they're too talented. They've got too much good young talent. Vladdy's not going anywhere. Bo Bichette is one of the best hitters in all of baseball. That rotation is pretty much locked in for the next 3 or so years. They're going to make the playoffs. Now, are they going to do anything in the playoffs? No, they really haven't. Past 10 years, they're not necessarily going to, in my opinion. But yeah, the Blue Jays they're going to be here for a while.
I'm going to say my NFL take as well that someone else said. And then we can move on to someone else. This was by Blackbow1. This is actually really interesting. That's why I wrote it down. He says, if Tua stays healthy, the Dolphins are Super Bowl contenders. I'm going to buy it. I'm actually going to buy that take. I think, because if you remember how the Dolphins played last year before Tua got destroyed multiple times, they were really good. If you remember, unfortunately, that comeback they had against the Ravens, that was an incredible game, and it shows how good of a team they can be. And I think if Tua has no injury problems, if the whole team stays healthy, I mean, they have an insane offense.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that offense is definitely top 5 in my opinion when healthy. And if Tua does, I think they could definitely make a push into the playoffs. But I don't. Tua doesn't have a lot of playoff like readiness in my opinion. He hasn't really played that many games in the past few years with his concussions and and stuff like that. And will it take a toll on his game? Maybe. And I think they have the talent around him is insane. You got Tyreek Hill, you got Jalen Waddle. Who's the running back? Who cares? Their offensive line's great. Their defense, they got Jalen Ramsey now. It's absurd. Xavier Howard. I mean, you put Lamar there, they're winning a Super Bowl every year. I mean, so I think the Dolphins. I'm going to sell that one. I don't think they're going to do. I don't think they're playoff or Super Bowl contenders.
I'm going to sell that last thing you said, where you said if Lamar's on the Dolphins, they'd win every year. I'm going to sell the Dolphins in general Super Bowl take as well. I think they're a really great team, but I just think there are really too many teams in the AFC. You know, you have Ravens, Bills, Chiefs, Chargers. I think those are 4 better teams off the rip with 4 better offenses. And, you know, this is really an electric offense you have in Miami. You have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, guys that can burn you over the top. Tua, if he stays healthy, we know how well he can play. We've seen him, as you said, that Ravens game, he went completely out of his mind. I think the run game is going to be something that hinders them a little bit. Guys like Jeff Wilson, Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane, all in that backfield.
What if
and
they
the
get
defense,
Jonathan Taylor?
Well, I honestly don't think the Colts will trade him, and he at this point JT's not able to play the first 4 weeks anyway. But the Miami defense has always been solid. They add Jalen Ramsey. I think it's a good team, but not a great one that you have. And they play in an especially tough conference or division rather in the AFC East.
Nick, I agree with that first part. I mean, the AFC is stacked. There's so many teams, even teams like the Chargers, the Jets, the Bengals, even though they don't have Burrow for the first 4 weeks. But once you get into the playoffs, anything can happen. And if the Mariners, if the Dolphins can get in the playoffs, I could see them making a run at it. They have the offense, they have the talent, but it is definitely going to be a challenge to get in.
If I had to stick them in a tier list, I'd put them one below Super Bowl contenders because I think they're right there. I just don't think they're there yet.
All right, so it's my turn to do my hot take and for the MLB and the NFL. So buy or sell, whatever. The question is from Jake Hill. Jackson Holiday will be in the MVP talks next year while Shohei recovers.
Oh, I saw that one.
Yeah.
Wait, what was the other part of that? You said Jackson Holiday is an MVP.
While Shohei recovers.
While Shohei recovers. I don't think Shohei misses next year. He's going to hit. I don't see him pitching.
Yeah.
So
I think the real question is Jackson Holiday. First off, is he going to get called up next year?
Absolutely.
Yes.
See
I buy that.
I'm not sure how he's
opening day is still a possibility.
I think ending the year he's in Norfolk.
Ending this year?
Yes. I think
that he'll start. I think he'll start next year in Norfolk. I think he'll play in Bowie for the remaining less than 30 games.
I think he'll get called up
for the service time
for Norfolk's playoffs.
I would be all for that.
If they can do that, yeah.
Just get some playoff experience.
Okay, let's talk about the actual hot part of that take though. That he's gonna come in immediately and be an MVP conversation.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Okay, no. So here's the thing: what do we consider MVP conversation? Because Adley, his rookie year, finished 12th. So and then that's not really MVP conversation because no one was saying, he's gonna win it. So I think by MVP conversation, we mean this guy has a good chance at winning it, not being in 10th.
I agree. like
I
the
saw that.
guideline here should be there's genuine buzz for this player to win MVP, and I don't think there's any chance of that happening, really.
At some point in his career, yeah. But I mean, if we're talking about MVP votes, okay, maybe I'd probably even then say no. But I mean, he's gonna AL Rookie of the Year favorite. He's gotta be right now. If he comes up later on in the year, then maybe not as high. But I mean, even if he does, he's still got to be at least one of the front runners for AL Rookie of the Year.
I don't know if this is like a hot take to say, but I think he absolutely gets MVP votes. I mean, Adley did. Why can't Jackson? Like, doesn't mean he's going to be like a front runner. He can come in like 15th. That still counts as getting MVP votes, which I mean would be insane for his rookie season. So to say that he'll win Rookie of the Year, that's not a hot take. I would buy that. He's my Rookie of the Year pick with no bias. But to be an MVP favorite in his first year, I don't see that happening. Even like I think he's gonna struggle when he first comes up. I mean, a lot of rookies do. I mean, Adley was terrible like his first month. Julio was also bad his first month. Bobby Witt was very bad until like a month or two ago. Like he wasn't showing anything. Spencer Torkelson, who was the first pick, still hasn't shown why he was the first pick. So I mean, it takes time. So yeah, will Jackson Holliday have a very good rookie season and win Rookie of the Year? I think so. Will he be an MVP favorite? Not yet. He will be. Give it like maybe even like 2025 or like I think definitely by 2026, yes. But immediately, no. So I'm going to sell that.
You got to realize the kid is 19 years old. 19.
Exactly.
19, not even 20. He can't even drink yet.
Can't legally drink, yeah.
He's engaged.
Chloe.
Don't DOF, don't say it.
Horsehead. Sorry.
Yeah, he's 19 years old. So I don't think saying MVP is like the best thing you can say. I think Rookie of the Year, yes. I think next few years, totally, because he's 19. He's probably gonna get called up. He's 20. I think 3-4 years MVP, I think. But I'm definitely selling. And then I had my own for NFL. I'm selling myself out.
Right.
Bijan Robinson ends the year as running back 1 in all stats. Becomes all-pro and Pro Bowler in just his rookie year.
So what are all stats?
Rushing
yards, rushing touchdowns.
Rushing yards, touchdowns.
I guess the big
yards
ones,
per carry.
rushing yards and
yards per carry, touchdowns.
Yes.
No, I think he's just saying yards and touchdowns.
Okay.
Pretty much. Just
even still, I sell that. I mean, does anyone here buy it besides Aidan?
Well, honestly, I think the way hot takes work, most people are going to sell it. That's the point of
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, but also like the Falcons, just have too much running back depth. I feel like I don't know. Initially, I think it's going to be hard for him to get sufficient carries to get all pro votes. But I mean, Cordell Patterson is still there. They got some dogs in the running back room. So I don't really think
they're pretty good last year.
Yeah, Algiers. I mean, they're going to want to throw the ball too. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. If he gets in the passing game too, it's going to be.
That's one thing he can do. He is good out of the backfield. I mean, you line him up against any slot or linebacker.
Linebacker.
Yeah.
Besides maybe Roquan Smith or Fred Warner.
I mean, even Roquan doesn't cover that great, but still, yeah.
All right, I'll continue on. I have 2 of my own. First one, I have Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes combining for over 10,000 pass yards. Mahomes went for 5,250 last year. Herbert didn't look at his exact mark, but somewhere.
I think he was in the 4s.
Yeah, he's definitely in the 4s, somewhere probably in the middle of that range. I think with Kellen Moore, you add Quentin Johnson in the draft. Now you have 3 really good receiving options: Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, and Quentin Johnson.
He had 47-40.
There you go. So they almost had that actually last year.
Yeah.
But I think they'll surpass that mark this year. And obviously Mahomes doesn't have the greatest weapons. He has Travis Kelce, but the wide receiver room isn't too strong. But honestly, it doesn't really matter because he could have Seth Roberts. Give me some other random wide receiver. Corey Coleman.
James Prochet.
Willie Snead. James Prochet. Miles Boykin. Yeah, you could have all those guys and he'd still throw for like 8,000 million yards. My second one, I think the Bears are going to finish last in the NFC North. I think there are 3 good teams in that division. I really think there are 4 good teams in that division. I think all those teams are solid. But I think the Bears maybe win 7 or 8 games and finish last because honestly, I think this Packers team is going to do well. Feels like they just have the culture that allows them to just stay in the race. Jordan Love, obviously, his first year going in as a starter, still has a great backfield behind him. I think that'll help him out a lot with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. Has Christian Watson in the pass game. And then you move to the Lions. I think the Lions are going to win this division. And then obviously the Vikings have a great offense. Justin Jefferson just drafted Jordan Addison. And I think the Bears really just have the weakest defense of this group. I think all these offenses are good, but I think the Bears defense really hurts them. Obviously, they have a good safety combo with Shaquan Brisker and Eddie Jackson. But you go to the cornerbacks, you have Jalen Johnson, Jack Sanborn, and Kyler Gordon. I don't think that's going to cut it in a division that really has a bunch of receiving weapons.
Okay, so we gotta, because you said your 2 takes, so we gotta like split this on like which one we're buying, which we're selling.
There you go.
So I think we start with the Mahomes and Herbert one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna buy that. I don't really have much explanation for it. I was actually gonna say what you said, Mahomes. It doesn't matter who he has as receivers, he can make them look good. He can get them like really good production. And then Justin Herbert, while I think another hot take, I think he's slightly overrated. I think he will have bare minimum like 4,500 passing yards this year. And then Mahomes, I think, will definitely have over 5,000 again. So yeah, I'm gonna buy that one. And let's stick on that one. So we'll hear from Aidan and Nelson on what they think of that.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, I honestly think that the 10,000 yards is as close to a lock as possible. I mean, Mahomes are going to throw for 5,000. I mean, I think he could honestly push closer to 5,500. I would not be shocked to see that happen. He's that good. He's got good weapons, underrated weapons, in my opinion. And then Herbert and the Chargers, yeah, they underperformed last year. But maybe this is finally the year where Herbert and the Chargers offense finally puts together some consistency throughout an entire season, makes a playoff run. And we see Herbert maybe even get some MVP votes with a 5,000 yard season and leading the league in multiple QB categories.
I mean, Mahomes, I think, what did you say, 5,500 yards passing? What was that, Nelson? Was that 55?
Yeah, that was the guess that he had.
Yeah, I think
around
he did that. He did 52-50. And he was hurt. So I think he definitely can do that. And then Herbert, I've been high on him. I do think, like DOF said, he has been slightly overrated. And some people call him a social media quarterback. But yeah, I think if Herbert's got the weapons, he's got does he still have that one dude? Oh, what's
Eckler?
No,
I mean Eckler's still there.
The wide receiver.
Eckler's crazy as well.
Keenan Allen, Josh Palmer, Mike Williams.
Yes,
Mike
he's
Williams
there. And Quentin Johnson.
He's there for now. Injury prone.
Mm-hmm.
That duo is going to be sick. And then
all right, so we all buy that.
Keenan Allen.
Yeah,
I guess it wasn't. I guess my take wasn't hot enough then.
Maybe if you said like Russell Wilson and
I don't know. I had a hot take that we won't go into deep discussion about. I think it might be the hottest one here, or we could discuss it. We will. I have the Broncos winning the AL West.
No. No.
Yep, I have the Broncos winning the AL West.
No. There are so many reasons why that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. They can't beat the Chiefs. They're 2-20 in their last 22 games.
I am going to buy
the AdWords. They're finishing
not just the Chiefs, the Chargers.
I am going to buy.
They're going to do better than the Chargers.
Oh my gosh.
DOF, let's make a bet right now. If the Broncos do not come in first and second, what's a good bet, guys?
They're coming in second. That's crazy. If you don't think they're okay, listen. You could argue the worst coach last year.
It's true.
And what happened when they fired him?
They also had the worst.
I do like Sean Payton.
The worst quarterback. You did not just say that.
Not the worst, but one of the
bottom.
He
was close to it.
One of the bottom.
No. That's only because he had a terrible coach.
I got
quarter.
it. DOF. If they don't come in first and second for a full week on your account, you have to be a Yankees fan. Post all Yankee stuff. Like, I heart the Yankees.
I mean, that's too far. But I mean, I don't have to worry.
Now you lost. You lost hope in them.
No. But I
said that. You don't believe that.
Worry about that anyway because they're winning the division.
You don't believe that.
I'm telling you, I have them going 13-4.
I thought my take for the Bears winning the NFC North was bad.
Mm-hmm.
The Broncos.
The Broncos are winning the division.
If the Broncos go 13-4, if the Broncos go 13-4, I'll do a podcast episode naked.
I'm telling you guys. Russell Wilson, he's going to play like an MVP. He might get an MVP vote this year.
But they're not going 13-4. There's no.
You got to be joking.
They're going to lose at least 4 games against their division.
You're trolling.
Yeah, you got to be joking.
I'm not.
They're going to lose at least 1 game from each team in their division. The Chiefs might sweep them. So
they will
sweep.
The Chiefs will not sweep them. The Chiefs will not sweep them. I'll see. The Chiefs will beat them.
Name 10 players on the Broncos.
Russell Wilson.
I don't think that's relevant.
Okay.
That's not relevant at all. The point is they have Russell Wilson.
They got Bradley Bozeman.
You guys hate on him after one bad season.
I'm not hating on Russ. I'm not hating on Russ. The Broncos are not that good. Like I don't think it's even.
They had the worst coach in the league.
That doesn't mean anything.
Yes, it does.
It does. It does.
It does.
Not.
Okay. Do you think Sean Payne's going to turn them around?
I'm telling you guys, no. At worst, they're finishing second.
Okay.
They will be
over the Chargers.
Mm-hmm. But since you guys aren't educated, we can move on to Nick's second take, which I think was.
I'm gonna oh my god!
Yeah, Nick,
somebody flip this.
Go ahead and say your second.
You guys can remember
second take.
I have the Bears finishing last in the NFC North. That's my hot take.
I'm not going to buy that.
Who's finishing last?
The Bears.
No,
Bears
you're
last.
not buying that.
It was my what? It was my take.
No, DOF said he wasn't buying.
Okay.
Oh, you think? Oh, you're asking me who I think is going to finish last?
Yeah.
Oh, the Packers. I think the Packers.
Yeah.
I think. Okay, everyone is hyping up Justin Fields, and I can see why. And now he's got a great weapon in DJ Moore, but I still don't think he's going to be nearly as good as a lot of people say he's going to be. Some crazy people, mainly Bears fans, think he'll be an MVP candidate. I don't see it.
Some crazy people think the Broncos are going to go 13-4.
Absolutely. I'm telling you guys, watch it happen.
Okay, keep talking about the Bears. Keep talking about the Bears.
Yeah.
Keep talking
about
the
Bears.
Y'all two were going. Nick and Nelson were going crazy over me saying the Bears are going to come in first place, and the
you buy that?
The Commanders are going to do better than the Cowboys.
But you buy that the Bears are going to win the division?
Yes, I think they will.
I think the Lions are. I got the Lions winning.
I like that. I like the Lions.
I got the Lions winning.
Bears, Lions, Vikings, Packers. I don't like
the Vikings aren't going to finish third. That's not going to happen.
I don't like that.
I have the Vikings second.
The Vikings either go like they start off the year like 9-2 like they did last year or something, and then they go to the playoffs and they lose. Every year.
I don't see the Vikings starting on that good again.
And if we're talking about the regular season, the Vikings are going to go off because they always do.
Yeah, well, I sell that. I don't see them finishing last, but so I like half sell it. I don't see them making the playoffs, or I don't see Justin Fields being great, but I don't think they finish last. I think the Packers. I don't think Jordan Love is going to be good at all. I don't see it.
Especially that preseason game that I played against the Bengals. I think his first drive, he had a.
How about his regular season games that he's played? Wait, hold up, has he?
Yeah, he played pretty good against the Eagles.
I just don't see it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, he's still a shutdown merchant.
So
I don't see the talent there in Jordan Love.
But the thing is, he had a tight end coming across. Easiest throw. I probably could have made the throw, and he overthrows him by like 10 feet over his head. Literally, he could have just gone. No.
Well, you can't really judge someone off of one play because all quarterbacks will have their
Yeah.
awful plays. But I just don't see the talent there in Jordan Love. I just don't.
Only time will tell. So I think some of us are buying, some of us are selling. So we'll move on. College football is back. We got some pretty big matchups this week. USC and Notre Dame, they routed their opponents. USC number 6 beat San Diego State 56-28. Number 13 Notre Dame beat Navy 42-3. That was insane. Some games of the week. LSU is playing Florida State, number 5 versus number 8. LSU is a 2.5-point favorite. Number 21 North Carolina is playing at South Carolina. North Carolina is a 2.5-point favorite. And then Monday Night Football, Clemson, number 9, is playing at Duke, an ACC matchup there. Clemson is a 12-point favorite in that one. So this is an Aidan special. He's going to give us his playoff predictions for this upcoming college football season.
Well, before that, I have breaking news on the podcast. Former Ravens wide receiver, now former Ravens wide receiver, James Prochet just got cut.
Like I said, that's not breaking.
We've known this for some time.
No,
I don't think to our list,
just got cut, officially cut from the team.
And I have a good feeling that people that listen to this podcast that don't care about the Ravens, they have no idea who that is. No idea who that is. Thank God. Glad he's gone. But yeah, like Nelson said, I'm out of this segment. I know nothing about college football. I can't say anything about it. This is all Aidan right here.
Yeah, so like Nelson said, those games are a key matchup. But for me personally, I'm looking at this Colorado-TCU game. TCU comes in this game ranked number 17 in the country. Colorado has this big hype. They just got Deion Sanders. They just got Travis Hunter. They just got Shedeur Sanders. They're getting all these crazy guys. There's a guy in my class from Florida who's already committed. He's my class. He's 2025, and he's a 5-star. So Deion Sanders is making this huge influence on Colorado. What will they do the first game they're playing against TCU? Team that did pretty well last year. They did make it to the championship. They also got blown out by like 50. But who knows? TCU may have a great year this year, but I think if Colorado somehow gets this win and they start winning, I think they play Nebraska the second week. They just keep winning. They're going to have a lot of hype, and then they play like Oregon, and then who else? They play Oregon, and then somebody good. It's just the Pac-12 is really good. They play Washington. I think Coach Prime and the Buffs are going to miss out, but they're going to have a lot of hype. And then those other games this weekend, you got the Michigan ranked number 2 against Eastern Carolina, so that's going to be a win automatically. Texas plays Rice. Win. I mean, let's see how Quinn Ewers does. Is he a potential top 10 draft pick? Who knows? He was the number 1 rated quarterback ever, I think. He's a 1.00 whatever. Georgia plays UT Martin. Who is UT Martin? That's definitely getting clipped now. If UT Martin wins, Notre Dame plays some TNST, Tennessee State or something. But I'm very excited to just see how these, especially the players, especially Caleb Williams, how he will play this year. He already played. I think he did pretty good.
He looks really good. He had some insane throws.
He reminds me as close as a Mahomes clone can be.
Except he's such a much better college player than Mahomes.
But
his talent.
He's also from the DMV, so that's pretty cool. Yeah. He did.
I think he went to Gonzaga. Maybe
he did go to Gonzaga.
Yeah, he went to Gonzaga.
He went off. I don't know the stats exactly, but I know he did really well. They won 56-28, so that's crazy. And then the Navy, Notre Dame. I think everyone is not everybody, but most people are Army or Navy. I'm Navy. I'm family of Navy, and I couldn't even watch this game. I think I watched like 3 minutes, and they scored like a touchdown, and I just was like, I'm done. And the final score was 3-42, and this was in Dublin, Ireland. That was pretty cool.
All right, Aiden, what do you got for your college football player predictions?
Okay. I go Georgia. I go USC. I go Michigan. And my hot take of the year, hook 'em horns, Texas at number 4.
Ooh. I like your first three. I was just gonna put actually, okay, I'll go Georgia, USC, Ohio State, Florida State.
I saw something the other day of Florida State getting bought by Saudis, and I don't know if anyone watches soccer or for those in across the pond in England or whatever, football or football. I know DOF's gonna go crazy how I just said that.
Isn't it football like in Latin America? Not
It is.
England.
It's football in South America,
buddy.
the Spanish countries.
Okay, yeah. But, they have teams are bought by Saudi Arabia and their Qatar Airways. So I saw a thing of Florida State kind of buying their players through NIL deals, and they're going to change their jersey to Qatar Airways because how Saudis are buying their players. Like, they bought Neymar for they almost bought Mbappe for $1 billion, something like. But Florida State, that is a good choice. I didn't even think about them.
Yeah, they're sneaky. Well, if no one has anything else, that pretty much wraps it up for us on this episode of the pod. Make sure to follow us at Blaze Wave Media on all platforms to keep up with all sports all the time. For Aidan Silverman, Nick Polinsky, and DOF, I'm Nelson Dorsey. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.
When I grow up, I want to be like the Pressed Orioles fan.